What did ancient humans do all day before jobs existed? No alarm clocks, no bosses, no commutes, no paychecks. For 99% of human history, this was normal life. And here is the most surprising part. They were not suffering. They were not struggling to survive every single moment. In fact, anthropologists discovered something shocking. Hunter-gatherers worked far less than we do today. They had more leisure time than modern office workers. They were what scientists now call the original affluent society. Let me take you through a typical day. Imagine waking up naturally with the sunrise. No alarm jolts you out of sleep. You stretch under an animal hide blanket. The morning air is cool and fresh. You hear birds, not traffic. Around you, 20 to 30 people, your entire world are also stirring awake. Nobody rushes. Nobody panics about being late. There is no such thing as late. The morning starts with casual conversation. People share dreams from the night before. Children play immediately upon waking. Elders tend the fire, keeping embers alive. There is no morning meeting. No urgent email to answer. After some time, a small group of women decides to go gathering. They pick up digging sticks and woven baskets. They walk into the bush together. This is not grim labor. This is a social event. They talk. They laugh. They share stories while scanning the landscape. Their eyes are trained to spot edible plants from incredible distances. They recognize hundreds of species, which roots are sweet, which leaves are medicine, which berries are ripe today. Within 3 or 4 hours, their baskets are full. Tubers, fruits, nuts, honey, leafy greens. They have gathered enough food for the entire band for the day. They head back to camp. Meanwhile, the men might go hunting. But hunting is not a daily activity. Sometimes they go every 2 or 3 days. Sometimes they rest for a week. Hunting is opportunistic. It requires patience, not constant effort. A hunter might track an animal for hours, or he might sit under a tree and wait. Hunting is as much about knowledge as action. Reading tracks in the dirt, understanding wind direction, knowing animal behavior patterns. When a hunt succeeds, it is celebrated. But here is what surprised researchers most. The gathering done by women provided the majority of daily calories, up to 70% in most hunter-gatherer societies. The hunting brought protein, prestige, and excitement. But gathering was the reliable backbone. By midday, everyone is back at camp. Food is being prepared. Tubers are roasted in hot ashes. Meat is shared according to strict social rules. Nobody hoards food. Sharing is not optional, it is how you survive. If you share today, others share with you tomorrow. This is the most ancient form of insurance. The afternoon is the most remarkable part of the day. With food secured, what happens next? Almost nothing. People rest. They nap in the shade. They groom each other, picking insects from hair, braiding, tending to minor wounds. They sit and talk. Endless conversation. Gossip, jokes, memories of past hunts, plans for tomorrow. Stories are told and retold. Old myths about how the world began. Legends of heroic ancestors. Tales of clever animals who outsmarted everyone. Children listen with wide eyes. This is their school. This is how knowledge passes from generation to generation. No textbooks, no exams, just stories by the fire. The elderly are not a burden here. They are living libraries. They remember where water can be found during droughts. They know which plants cure specific illnesses. They recall events from 60 years ago with perfect clarity. Some afternoons, someone starts making music. A simple drum made from hollowed wood and stretched hide. A flute carved from bone. Clapping, singing, rhythmic chanting. Eventually, dancing begins. Everyone joins, young, old, male, female. There is no audience. There are only participants. Other afternoons are for making things. Men nap flint into razor-sharp blades. Each strike is precise, learned over decades. Women weave baskets so tight they can hold water. Someone repairs a broken spear shaft. Someone shapes a new digging stick. These activities are not rushed. They are done while talking, while resting, while watching children play. They blur the line between work and leisure. As the sun sets, the fire becomes the center of everything. Cooking continues, the day's final meal. More stories, more songs, more laughter. Sometimes there are rituals. A hunter paints his face with ochre before tomorrow's expedition. A shaman enters a trance state, connecting with the spirit world. The community watches, participates, believes. No one checks their phone. No one watches the news. Their entire universe is right here. Around this fire. With these people. This was human life for roughly 300,000 years. Think about that number. 300,000 years. Civilization, cities, writing, agriculture, is only about 6,000 years old. That is 2% of our history. For 98% of human existence, this was normal. No 9 to 5. No deadlines. No performance reviews. Then about 10,000 years ago, everything changed. The agricultural revolution began. Humans started planting seeds and domesticating animals. At first glance, this looks like progress. More food, more people, permanent homes. But look closer at what we actually traded. Hunter-gatherers worked about 15 to 20 hours per week. Early farmers worked from sunrise to sunset. They developed repetitive stress injuries from grinding grain. Their diet narrowed dramatically, mostly a single staple crop. Malnutrition became common. Famines became possible. If your one crop failed, everyone starved. Foragers never faced this. They had hundreds of backup foods. Disease exploded. Living in dense permanent settlements meant garbage, waste, and rats. Epidemics that never touched small mobile bands now swept through villages. Social inequality appeared for the first time. In hunter-gatherer bands, no one was much richer than anyone else. With agriculture came grain storage. And with stored grain came those who controlled it. Chiefs, priests, tax collectors, kings. The concept of private property emerged. The concept of working for someone else emerged. The concept of being poor emerged. Jared Diamond called agriculture the worst mistake in human history. But it was a one-way trap. Once you have dense populations, you cannot go back. The Hadza people of Tanzania are one of the last hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. Anthropologists have lived with them for decades, and their daily life looks remarkably like what I just described. They sleep when tired. They eat when hungry. They work only when necessary. They have no word for job or work in the way we understand it. When researchers ask the Hadza about their workload, they seem confused by the question. Why would anyone work more than necessary? Why would anyone store food when the bush provides fresh food every day? Why would anyone rush? So here is the uncomfortable question this research forces us to ask. Did we trade our freedom for security that never really arrived? Modern humans work more hours than medieval peasants did. We are more anxious, more depressed, more isolated. We have more stuff than any generation in history, and less time to enjoy any of it. The original affluent society was not affluent in things. They were affluent in time. They were affluent in connection. They were affluent in purpose. Every member of the band knew exactly why they mattered. No existential crisis around the campfire. No quarter-life crisis. No burning out at 35. Perhaps the most radical idea in anthropology is this one. Progress does not always move in a straight line. Sometimes what we call advancement is actually loss. The ancient humans who came before us were not miserable cavemen barely surviving. They were people who had figured something out, something we are still trying to rediscover. How to live. Not how to work. How to live.